extreme passion for England's first female professional playwright, Aphra Behn. In A Room of One's Own, she writes that all women together ought to let flowers fall upon the tomb of Aphra Behn, for it was she who earned them the right to speak their minds. But Woolf thinks differently about Margaret Cavendish, Duchess of Newcastle, writing, "What a waste that the woman who wrote The Best Bred Women are those whose minds are civilists, should have frittered her time away scribbling nonsense and plunging ever deeper into obscurity." But this is where Woolf and I diverge. Cavendish's plays are not deficient or inadequate, but exist in a different genre than the plays so beloved by Woolf. Both Behn's and Cavendish's plays hold significant potential for scholarly analysis of proto-feminist language through the lens of differing genres. I argue that Behn and Cavendish's female protagonists use language that harness their respective genres to articulate their proto-feminist beliefs. Because Cavendish wrote closet dramas meant for the page only, her female protagonists more openly state their revolutionary beliefs. Conversely, because Behn wrote for the English public stage, her female protagonists use language to create subversive ideas while remaining popular among English audiences. From these two playwrights, I am looking at two pairs of plays that feature similar character archetypes. Bel and Campo by Cavendish and The Young King or the Mistake by Behn focus on female warriors in their allegories of the English Civil War. The Convent of Pleasure by Cavendish and The Rover or the Banished Cavaliers by Behn center on unmarried women and bring into question the institutions of marriage and religion. By creating these pairs, the differences in how the female protagonists use language and rhetoric become clear. Both Aphra Behn scholars and Margaret Cavendish scholars have long debated whether the label effeminist can or should be applied to them. Given that both these playwrights wrote 100 years before the ideas of mainstream feminism arose, they cannot perfectly reflect a feminist mindset, but they can reflect the ideas that would become the foundations of the feminist movement we know today. For this research, I will consider proto-feminism in their works as a clear subversion of the gender roles their characters would have been expected to fulfill. In the greater context of this project, I explore how the English Civil War impacted the patriarchal structures of England. Scholar Karen L. Raver writes that the English Civil War temporarily dismantled the class and gender systems of England. Playwrights like Behn and Cavendish use this period of reconstruction as a way to display their new proto-feminist thought. For this presentation, I want to focus on my case studies of religious maidens. Hellena in Behn's The Rover and Lady Happy in Cavendish's The Convent of Pleasure are both destined for lives without marriage and within religious settings. But where Lady Happy expresses longing for female pleasure and freedom, Helena's desires to break the boundaries set upon her are showcased through subtextual clues within her language. This discrepancy between apparent and implied proto-feminist language reflects the difference between Behn and Cavendish's audiences and genres. The Rover follows a roving naval captain, Willmore, and his return to shore. There he meets Hellena, a young woman expected by her brother, Don Pedro, to become a nun. But Hellena is keen to enjoy the pleasures of marriage with Willmore, who is not ready to commit to the fidelity of marriage. The ever-persistent Hellena spends the play slowly convincing Willmore to marry her. The play ends with Willmore proposing to Hellena so that they may be in constant together. Helena's description in the dramatis persona gives us an insight into her character. The word designed appears in conjunction with 4 characters throughout Behn's various dramatis personas, twice for men and twice for women. For the men, they are designed to marry another character. For the women, they are designed for a certain occupation. In all 4 circumstances, the character does not fulfill the role they are designed for. Hellena is classified as a gay young woman designed for a nun, immediately implying that by the end of the play, she will not fulfill this role. When Hellena shows interest in her sister's love life, Florinda responds,
"Hellena, a maid designed for a nun ought not to be so curious in a discourse of love."
And dost thou think that ever I'll be a nun? Faith, no, sister. And that which makes me long to know whether you love Belleville is because I hope he has some mad companion or other that will spoil my devotion. Nay, I'm resolved to provide myself this carnival. If there be e'er a handsome, proper fellow of my humor above ground.
Prithee, be not so wild.
Both the expectations laid upon Hellena and her desires are clear from the very beginning of the play. Throughout the play, Hellena uses language as a way to express freedom and to break gender binaries. One example, which I detailed in my paper at the Blackfriars Conference in 2023, is the use of the word we, W-H-E, which has generally been replaced with y, W-H-Y, in modern printings of the Rover. The Oxford English Dictionary defines we as an exclamation apparently used for emphasis or to demand attention. Scholar James Fitzmaurice describes that we might have been a word deemed a little too coarse to be spoken by a lady. Thus, this is further supported by the breakdown of who says we throughout the play. 28 of the 32 usages are said by men, primarily Willmore. Only 5 we's are said by women, Helena using it 4 times, and her kinswoman Valeria 1 time. Though Helena is not the only female character in Behn's canon to use we, she is the only one to use we in the same frequency and function as her male counterparts, upending the gender binary and societal expectations surrounding the word. The final scene of the play holds a key example of the way Helena uses we and other words to her advantage. Helena and Willmore reunite after Willmore's sexual encounters with other women, but she's still keen to marry the bachelor.
Oh, and could you have left me behind? Would you have been so ill-natured?
Which would have broke my heart, child. I'm parlously afraid of being in love, child, but hast thou no better quality to recommend thyself by?
Faith, none, Captain. We, 'twill be the greater charity to take me for thy mistress. I am a lone child, a kind of orphan lover.
Willmore is the first to use we as well as the word child in this scene. Helena seems to be purposefully repeating we and child as a strategy to prove that she is just as unconventional as Willmore. She reiterates this further by describing herself as inconstant. Women throughout the play are frequently described as constant, while men, particularly Willmore, are described as inconstant. During a pivotal conversation between Willmore and Helena, she states,
We are both of one humor. I am as inconstant as you, for I profess myself the gay, the kind, and the inconstant.
Helena uses we one last time in the final scene, but this time in front of her brother, Don Pedro. He asks her,
And is all your holy intent of becoming a nun debauched into desire of man?
I have considered the matter, brother, and find that 300,000 crowns my uncle left me, and you cannot keep from me, will be better laid out in love than in religion.
we is not a word for a nun, and Helena uses it as her last defiance to becoming a nun. Helena earns her design description in this moment by breaking the expectations set upon her. Through Helena's usages of the word we, child, and inconstant, Behn expresses proto-feminist ideas in a subtextual form that allows the play to remain popular to Restoration audiences. Cavendish chooses more overt language to express proto-feminism in The Convent of Pleasure. The play centers on Lady Happy's desire to avoid marriage to one of the various town suitors. She forms a convent of pleasure for women who wish to enjoy the same lifestyle as her, one without men. The women enjoy various forms of pleasure in their all-female utopia, while the suitors lament their exclusion from the convent. In the opening scene, three town suitors discuss their plans to woo the extreme, handsome, young, rich, virtuous, and available Lady Happy. But in the next scene, Lady Happy rejects their offers and shares her plan for an all-female utopia with Madame Mediator. She describes her reasons for opening the Convent of Pleasure.
But if you encloister yourself, how will you enjoy the company of men?
Men are only troublers of women, for they only cross and oppose their sweet delights in peaceable life. They cause their pain, but not their pleasures. Those women were mad to live with men, who make the female sex their slaves. But I will not be so enslaved, but will live retired from their company. My cloister shall not be a cloister of restraint, but a place for freedom, not to vex the senses, but to please them.
Oh.
Lady Happy openly proclaims her frustrations with patriarchal systems. It is no coincidence that Cavendish uses terms such as convent and cloister that draw upon religious ideas. Cavendish is referencing both the long tradition of women becoming nuns as a way to receive an education and the patriarchal structures of the Catholic and Protestant churches. Scholar Catherine R. Kellett describes how queerness in the play is found through the women's goal to disrupt the coherence of any system that attempts to regulate them. Similarly, proto-feminism is found in the same disturbance of patriarchal systems that threaten their freedom and pleasures. But rather than showcasing these ideas solely through specific word choice like Behn, Cavendish has her female main characters embody, proclaim, and enact their proto-feminist beliefs. As Raber mentions in her essay on warrior women, war temporarily dismantles the fixtures of society. Behn and Cavendish cleverly harness this time of restoration after the English Civil War as a chance to reevaluate the patriarchal systems around them. But how they can insert these proto-feminist thoughts relies heavily on the genres in which they are writing. Where Cavendish displays openly sacrilegious ideas through the establishment of the convent of pleasure, Behn comments on religion through Helena's defiance to becoming a nun. So, I hope you will join me in disagreeing with Virginia Woolf. Both Aphra Behn and Margaret Cavendish use their respective genres, public performance and closet dramas, as a way to create revolutionary proto-feminist language. Thank you.